The views and opinions of this broadcast do not reflect the views and opinions of Armed Media, New Productions and its affiliates. Enjoy the show.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Ask for Candy, 100 ways to make your love and your life sweeter. Love chat with grown women show. Listen, I am Candace Harper, lovecoach.com, and I teach and inspire audacious intimacy to powerful, professional, grown women who want real relationships and seductive singlehoods. And I always say dating and relationships can be hard, but love is easy. You are listening to Armed Radio, maybe on your smart device with your TuneIn app, or maybe you're in the garden on armedradioglobal.com. Or we're also now available on iHeartRadio. Woo! Yay! And also, I think that if you have an Alexa, you can just ask for candy. Don't we love that?
I love that.
We love that. Or you're joining us here on Facebook Live. And if you are, you can see my beautiful guest, Julia, who I'm going to introduce in a second. But I want you also to know that if you have any questions, if you want to talk to us, you know this is a conversation, you can call in at 1-800-508-5431 to comment or question us live right here on Facebook. I see we already have Sean and Barry and Russell. So you talk about female orgasm and all the dudes show up. Right? It's perfect. So like I said, I'm Candace Harper, lovecoach.com. My talent is conversation. My passion is personal growth. And my purpose is to teach and inspire radical self-acceptance in myself and in others so that we can all have our best possible love life. And my guest tonight... I'm so excited about, first of all, let me just tell you, my guest tonight is like my hero because I had a different guest, a different co-host, and she had to drop out at the last minute, but we understand, we love her, we send her love. She replaced herself with this lovely goddess, Happy Julia from SexEdWithJulia.com, founder of, and sex educator, right?
Yes.
Sex educator. I actually feel like that would have been my calling had I known it was a thing. Sex educator.
It's never too late.
It's never too late, right? But listen, Julia, tell us about yourself. Tell us what you're up to and what you're about and what it means to be a sex educator. We want to hear about it.
Of course. Well, thank you for having me.
Yes.
Last second. I appreciate that. I love the energy. Like, I feel it was meant to be.
No, totally. Absolutely.
It was meant to be. What it means to be a sex educator is really teaching people to know that they are okay and they don't have anything and no problems. It's really to teach people freedom and actually support them in feeling that whatever they want to do is actually okay and there's nothing wrong with them. So starting with that, actually giving the permission for people to be who they are and to live their authentic sexual life, not what magazines say, not what journals say, not what we can see on TV and all that Photoshop sexuality, right? Or sexuality that we think that should look like, or certain labels that we think that we should. If I like this, then I should probably this or that. And actually teaching that no, you actually can be free and create whatever you want and have that authentic sexuality that works for you at that moment in your life, in that body that you are, right? With the partner that you are, versus looking at having that one size fits all life, sexual life. Yeah.
Yeah, oh, that's amazing. I love that because I also am very aligned with having what individually works for you.
Absolutely.
Which is why I'm not really about like the tips and tricks world where it's like you must do this and don't do this and this is the shoulds and shouldn'ts.
Yeah.
You're right. It's really about individually what feels organic to you, not trying to meet up to some standard, right? So tell me how you became a sex educator. Tell us a little bit about your journey.
You know what? Every time people ask me, why I chose it, I always say I didn't choose it. It chose me.
Okay.
And I really authentically feel that because I was always very about, sexual. I never understood why people cannot talk about sexuality. For me, it was what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Why we can just
Where are you from, though? I detect an accent. So
I'm
I feel
from
like
Lithuania.
Lithuania. Well,
Yeah.
I feel like maybe culturally there, because it's very puritanical here in the U.S. So if you're
Trust me,
meeting people in the
Lithuanian
US
is a very uptight country.
Is it? Okay.
It's like the furthest from when it comes to sexual conversations.
Really?
Yeah, up till now.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was really, but I always felt this kind of a freedom inside of me around that, right?
Love it.
And I always wanted to talk about that. I always want to study that. I never knew how to get there because there's up till today, there's no specific path, as you go, if you want to become a doctor or a lawyer, when there's no specific path to become or regulations to become a sex educator, right?
Yeah.
And they haven't even been recently to become a sex therapist. You basically, like even 10 years ago, you just couldn't be like a regular therapist, take a few courses on sex education, and you can call yourself, a sex therapist. That's how easy it was. But I didn't like that, right? So it took me a while to figure it out. But lately, at some point, I just knew this is the path. Because a lot of people came to me to speak about that. This was a topic that I could read until 4 a.m. and not worry about the time. It was like just very kind of those signs. Yeah. And then I was like, you know what? Let me just own that and be that and stop fighting that and worrying about that,
Yeah.
I feel that I had to come up out of my own closet, to be that, because it's like, oh, what do people will say, how, like what's going to be. Well, my mom still says that I'm a psychologist.
Like when she's talking to her friends.
Yeah, it's like, she's a psychologist. I'm like, okay, mom.
Right? My mom still says I work in fashion, and that was like 15 years
ago.
So.
And I get it. It's easier, because it's also for her own comfort. But like, she would be probably comfortable to talk about that.
Totally.
So yeah, I get it. But yeah, it really was just. I feel it always was in me. It was just a time to actually tap into that and allow myself and own that and embrace that and actually be like, you know what, I am. This is what I do. This is what I love. This is what I'm good at.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I love that. You just kind of like came into your own with it. I love it. Well, let me ask you this question. So when it comes to your own dating life, you don't have to tell me too much about your personal life, but like, do you find that people are either really intrigued or really titillated with what you do, and how do you incorporate it in your own relationship life?
So when it comes to my own life, I feel that I date men, right? Mm-hmm. So I feel that one group of men right away want to like prove how good they are. It's like right away, like, they're like, that's okay, so like, let me show you what I got. And I'm like, okay, great.
I love it.
And then there's another group that I feel that they maybe the opposite, right? So they're like, okay, like, so, because beyond that, I'm also, studying sexuality. I'm very as you can see, I'm very alive person. I express myself. So, I can be a little bit like, for some people, it's like a little bit too much. And I feel that, right? And it's, as they call, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Not there's anything wrong with me, but there it's like, yeah, it goes both ways. Sometimes it's like, oh, let me, I want to know what you got. I want to see that. Yeah. Some people, I want to see what you can teach me. Yeah. And then there are people like, oh, okay.
Thinking that you'll be like,
yeah. Which in reality, any sex educator, and I talk a lot. Yeah. Sometimes people ask, they give me something, they tell me something like, oh, you don't know what it means? I'm like, I don't know everything.
Right.
Like in any subject, right? There is like, I'm all, I'm studying it, but there's always things, right? But yeah, I feel that, yeah.
I love it. I'm so excited you're here, Julie. Let's see who's come on live. We have a bunch of people that have signed on. We have Donna and Beth. Beth says, yay, she's excited with the sex tape. Michelle joined us. Michelle, who has to come back another time. The reason Julie is here is because of Michelle. Hey, Michelle. And Wayne is here. And Beth says, how does she feel about sexuality in the Me Too movement? Oh, that's a big question. Let me say hi to Lee real quick. Hi, Lee. I love you. I'm so glad you're here. If you guys want to call in and join the conversation, it's 1-800-508-5431. And yes, Julia, how do you feel about sexuality in the Me Too movement? Or what are your thoughts on that? Based on Beth's... Thank you, Beth.
Thank you for the question. Yeah. How do I feel? I haven't thought about it for a while. That's what I'm like. How do I feel?
Like the unexpected.
It's like, yeah. I think when it comes to any movement, there's always like a lot of sides of the coin, right? I definitely feel that women's sexuality has been repressed for so many years. everything, in politics and education, when it comes to women's sexuality, basically never existed, right? So now when we start to talking about topics, things like, like Me Too movement comes out, or any sexual movement comes out, clearly there's a lot of everything with what's going on in there. I feel that until we're gonna have those types of movements, a lot of them, right? We're going to talk about rape. We're going to talk about feminine sexuality being repressed. We're going to talk about that. We need to talk about to have that balance, right? We need to talk because it was repressed. Now we're taking it out there.
Yeah.
So in order for all those movements actually also kind of be in a balance, some time will pass, right?
Like it opened up the conversation.
It opened up the conversation, right? That was actually in there for, the conversation was there. It's not it wasn't, right? It's just now more out there, which is amazing because we need those conversations because otherwise things are not going to get healed or, fixed, quote unquote. But we need those conversations. Yeah.
And I think a lot of it has to do too with taking ownership over our sexuality, which doesn't necessarily have to be threatening to men. I think with I mean, this is just my own opinion, not being a sex educator, but my opinion about like the movement itself is I totally agree with you. Like it is now like offered an opportunity to get really empowered, right? But also, I think the way that it is sort of handled in the media, it's almost like it's a little bit threatening, I think, culturally for men. But I think this is a perfect opportunity for us to like find that common ground where it's like everybody's allowed to be sexual, but knowing how to not manipulate and hurt and use people with it.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Like,
And I also think, again, as with every movement, sometimes we think that because we're going for something, it's like we go against something. Right?
Exactly. Like you have to resist something.
Like, it's, a lot of people say, well, mostly people who are not really know what feminism is, right? But it's like, well, feminism, it's like repressing men. And it's like, no, feminism is for everyone. And it's really about woman rising.
Yeah.
So if some men feel that woman rising makes them feel like
they have to lower,
you kind of get your life together, right? Yeah. Like it's really for women's, any movement and women's movement is like for everyone is rising, and you feel that that's so much free. Well, that's your call. I mean, it's not, that's your call. It's up to you. But like, don't. Like it's not against anything,
exactly.
It's just really we as a humanity rising. Like it's just we in a rising stage because everything's so people of color were repressed, women were repressed, people with disabilities, right? Like half of the century that didn't exist. So now there's a lot of movement who, or personalities who were repressed. We are actually rising.
Yeah.
And some people feel that, I love when people say, well, all women become so masculine now. What man gonna do? Right? It's like this, like it's not about women becoming masculine. It's about women stepping like up into their journeys.
Yeah.
And then if we actually all gonna step up, the world will gonna look different.
Like everyone can have value.
Right? If like we are doing it all for everyone, so if we're all gonna step up, it's actually gonna look differently versus, like saying, they kind of no one is trying to repress men. We actually all going together and trying to heal things that were not working in the past and actually, so they would serve everyone moving forward.
Yeah. I love that. That's perfect. Absolutely. So who else joined us? Sashay joined us. Sashay Shantae. I know Shantae. I haven't seen you forever, honey. And Sean says, rise up. Sean, I love it. I love a male feminist.
We all get to rise up.
Right? Exactly. We all get to rise up. Okay. So for those of you who have never listened to the show before and have never been on the live broadcast, what this show is about. Each week we have lively conversations about different topics relating to love and relationships. Sometimes we bring on special guests like my friend Julia here. Sometimes we play games and activities, but always we will get a chance to laugh, cry, or just learn something new. And that is why everybody who doesn't know it, this is a conversation. We're not here to just like hand you a bunch of rules and tell you, what's right and what's wrong. It's definitely not the right and wrong conversation. We're not here to shame your love situation because like the release of shame is so important, right? Like we're not about that. And our intention here is to create audacious intimacy and seductive singlehoods and healthy relationships. And so with our ongoing series, we're going to be, it's the summer of sexploration, everybody. Right? And tonight we are going to be talking about how to become wildly orgasmic with Julia. I'm so like, I'm a total goofball and totally giddy about it, and totally like people think that, you know, because I'm a coach that I'm, you know, very sophisticated and I don't mind to say, but I'm seriously a third grader. Okay. But also I'm willing to admit that that's a little bit of a defense mechanism because it like prevents me from having to like have the serious discussion.
I can definitely relate to that.
Right? But the reason we're going on the summer of sexploration is because I know I need to have this discussion. And, you know, and for those of you out there, my sister friends who also need to have this discussion, we all need to have this discussion.
We all need to have this. Absolutely.
Right? We all need to be able to talk freely about our love lives. We all need to talk from a place of, you know, not being ashamed of it. So,
you know, I just really want to, because I think it was such an important point. And I love how you said we're not here to say rules, right? And say that, you know, this is what you will have to do that. And I feel it's so important when it comes to sexuality because we have so many rules that we created and we believe that we like, that's what actually like hold that tight, right? And it doesn't really allow that place of orgasm or wildness or natural or authentic sexuality to occur, right? Because we believe that there are rules that we have to follow or there are things that, you know, have to be. And yeah, like really, there is no rules. It's always in a discussion. Either, you know, you talk to, you know, to your journal or to your partner or to your girlfriend or to, you know, to your men around you. It's really always, you know, inside of that discussion. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yes. Oh, I love it. We're so aligned. This is perfect. Thank you, Michelle, for sending Julia because I love her. I feel like she's going to be my new sex coach, to tell you the truth. So I found this article, and the people who come on often, they know I often do. Like I like to find different things online, and because everyone is allowed to put information online, as long as you have a computer, I feel like it's good to always vet your information, right, and to make sure that it's good, valid, and that it can possibly work for you, and also figure out how it can work for you, right? So we are blessed to have Julia here because this is something that she studies, and I found an article that's titled 8 Wonderful Ways to Become More Orgasmic. Right? And they're wonderful ways. We're going to find out if they're wonderful. And also Julia's going to like put her licks on it and give us, so to speak, and give us, everything's going to be double entendre from here on in. But she's going to give us some, you know, input and, you know, some chunky content to walk away with, right?
Fantastic.
All right. So the 8 wonderful ways. We're going to start with number 1. Number 1, according to hersolution.com, 8 wonderful ways to become more orgasmic. It all starts in the mind. And they say, yes, we all know this. For women, sex starts in the mind. In order to reach that mysterious orgasm point, a woman's mind should be fully captivated. The truth is that many women are preoccupied with the other myriad of things they have going on in their lives, making sexy thoughts difficult. Says if you are working to become more orgasmic, ensure that your mind should be ready as well. Keep your mind clutter-free by getting rid of your personal and professional issues. Undoubtedly, a concentrated and stress-free mind is a first step towards achieving the ultimate pleasure for all women. What say you, Julia, about all of that?
I definitely agree with that, right? Definitely agree with that. I don't know if it's not always the first thing, right? Because there's always different situations, right? With the physical body, you know, there's some physical things. There are, they can be, you know, they're like what I'm saying. There are many layers to that, right? But you know, it all starts with the mind in a way that you cannot have orgasm if you're not present, right? If you are, because we can be physically there.
How many times thinking about the grocery list?
Exactly, and how many times it happens, right? We're kind of there, but in reality, we're like, oh, that, you know, that spreadsheet I had to send my boy, you know, my boss, or that on this. Also, many times we also think about, as I speak about, you know, women mostly, we think about our bodies, right? How do my tummy feel? Can you see my belly? How do I smell right now? You know, if it's world sex.
Did I shave?
Did I shave? You know, it's like we really go all into that things that may not be necessarily like needed at that time, right? Yeah. So being present to your senses, right? So like actually feel touch, right? When you get kissed here and there, like allow that kiss actually go into you, right? Versus like,
ooh, I love that. Like,
it's already like I love that. But really, right? Like really allowing that, and because what's not gonna work if you're gonna be there laying there, okay, I have to be present, like that's not gonna work.
Like trying to concentrate, focus, and make it happen.
That's not gonna be present, right? But literally, like focusing on your breath, right? Anytime we find ourselves thinking about, you know, the grocery list or, you know, about how we smell or how we look, like really go inside me and like, you know, like allow that breath go in and follow it through the body, right?
Yeah.
Like kind of dissolving into the in bed, right? Or, you know, kitchen or bathroom, wherever that place is, right? The library. You know, focusing on breath, focusing on senses, sounds, right? Again, many times we don't make sounds because our sexual voices are repressed, right? Because of certain beliefs, certain experiences in the past, you know, so many, you know, like, you know, there's like a lot to go to, but right, like majority of us, we have our sexual voice repressed, right? Because
Totally.
society, because of how we grew up, if a certain event happens in our lives, it's all, so sometimes it's hard for us to actually make sounds, right? Because there's shame. What if
even in massages, like I find myself a little embarrassed if I make too much noise. I mean, I've gotten better over the years, especially when I first started getting massages. I was afraid to like vocalize, which I wanted to, like I totally wanted to. I totally wanted to, but I wouldn't. Like I was just like, you know, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that's great, because that's, you know, it's not only, you know, again, you know, our sex life is not all. It's not only like, it's not separated from our life. Right. So the same, we can take massages or yoga classes. You know, anytime I work with my clients, I always, you know, offer them to do yoga. And then I always tell them, when you do yoga, like be in the pose, like actually feel it. And they say, always tell me, you know, I'm always in my head when I do yoga.
Oof. Horrible. I love yoga, and I can tell when I'm in my head the difference. There's such a difference. Same
with sexual, you know, with the sex. That's, you know, when we're present, that's what actually, so when they say it all starts with our mind, it's really, you know, being that present. And it's actually, I would say, you know, two things out of that. One is being present. Another thing is really checking in on what are those beliefs around shame and pleasure and sexuality and body image and how I feel in my body. So, you know, all of that adds to that moment. You know, because if I'm going to be walking around all day hating my body and thinking that I'm ugly, fat, you know, this and that, and then come to the bedroom and be like, oh, now I'm going to be orgasmic. It's not going to work. Right? It's not going to work.
Become a sex goddess from being like
from just
somebody who's beating yourself up all day.
Exactly. So it's really all connected. So definitely when it, you know, it all starts in mind, it's really, it's definitely connected.
Awesome. I love that. Yay. See, we're learning tonight, people. Who joined? Joe Savino joined us, my sweet love. And Angela Bowens, my other sweet love. What did Lee say? Locking eyes and sharing each breath is amazing. Yes, honey. Who doesn't want to do that?
Connection, absolutely. Eye connection.
Right? And my Evie, she joined. Hi, honey. I'm glad to see you, or at least see your name and know you're here. All right, let's go to the next one.
Let's go.
Also, people who want to call in, 1-800-508-5431. The second one is free yourself of negative emotions. Apart from making your mind free of useless thoughts, it is highly imperative to be free of your negative emotions as well, which we kind of touched on. But they say women who are often trapped in a vicious cycle of guilt, fear, anxiety, and worries are often those who find it hard to achieve the maximum benefits of sex. Most guys blame themselves for not bringing their partner to orgasm, but the real cause is far beyond their control. The list of negative emotions is endless, but they usually include the general suspects such as body shape, lack of sleep, illness, and professional glitches, which I don't know what professional glitches is, but we'll touch on that. So if you want to scale the mountain of sexual pleasure, try to eliminate negative thoughts and frustrations. Try journaling or talking to a close friend over coffee. What do you think about all of that, Julia?
Absolutely. Right. And as you said, we touch upon that, right? There are two things that I really want to talk about. One is definitely those negative emotions when we live through life, right? Either stress at work or stress with our kids or, you know, stress in relationship. Again, right? If there is no coming to the idea that sex is not separated from our lives, right? So there is no connection in relationship. It's hard to bring connection into the bedroom, right? And clearly, when I said bedroom, it's, you know, any place of choice. But so it's really comes all together, right? So when we go, you know, if we are, as they mentioned in this paragraph, you know, if woman is very controlling in life, you know, if she runs again, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just when you actually connected to that, right? So I may be have masculine energy when it comes to my job because I need to be, you know, I need to do things, I need to get results done. You know, I need that. I cannot just meditate all day. I would love to.
Right? I would too.
Just meditate and masturbate all day unless
sit by the river. Right?
But I need that masculine energy, right? But then I need to know how to change the hat. Right? I need to know how to change the hat. And again, there is a place of control in sex as well. There is a place of control, and there, there's it's another topic. But there's place to that. But again, it's being aware what shows up, right?
Yeah.
On what do you want to create. So if there's anxiety during the day, if there is stress, it all goes to that, right?
Yeah.
So I would say orgasm starts way before you get into the bedroom. It really starts with that. And another thing that I wanted to talk about is there was a sentence that a lot of men. A lot of guys blame themselves for not bringing the woman to orgasm.
Mm-hmm.
Every woman is responsible for her own orgasm.
Yes.
Right? It's real. Orgasm is your responsibility because woman gets to create that for herself, right? By releasing, by being present, by going through, through breath and all that. It's really not anyone's responsibility to make. It's a lot of pressure on someone.
Like, make this happen for me.
Make it happen to me.
I'm just going to lay here.
You're just going to go away, And it's always giving up your power.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of power in your pleasure and orgasm. And when you say that I cannot do that, but someone outside of me can, what does it mean?
Yeah.
It kind of means that, so you have the power over me.
Well, let me ask you this, based on that, like, how do you balance sort of the, like you were talking about, letting go of that masculine energy from the day and then still being responsible for your own orgasm? Like, how do you, what in action can you do to sort of balance that and, work?
It definitely, everything is work.
Yeah.
Relationship is work, spirituality is work, balance is work, sex life is work as well, right?
Yeah.
So really incorporating the mindful practices, meditation, yoga, there are womb practices, right? There are things that yoni eggs to really, tighten the muscles. There are masturbation, which always helpful. Like really working on your sexuality, right? Journaling about things, knowing we can connect it to your beliefs, right? And really balancing is also knowing that, okay, so if I am a boss at work, now I'm home with my partner. Mm-hmm. Hat do I need to use, right? And it may be the same hat, depending on, it may be, depending on the relationship, because some, we choose, whatever the relationship we choose, in some relationship we're in control and we still need to wear the same hat, but being aware of that, right? Actually knowing, and okay, if I need to let go and like actually leave my work at work and now be connected with my partner, put the phone away, close the computer, and actually like have that time, quality time with them, right? That's then what it is, right? And actually, it's really awareness. It's really, awareness is the key to everything, and it's really being, what am I doing right now, right? What kind of practices I use in life? Do I dance? Do I do yoga? Do I, whatever your choice is? Maybe it's art. Maybe it's singing. Maybe it's painting.
What's your creativity?
What creativity? Right, like it's feminine. It's very important for creativity, right? And we find it through whatever works for you. Through writing, through painting. But like that's so important. Yeah. And it's also important to actually schedule it in your calendar. I hear that. Because we so get to like really, especially in today's world, women we're doing, and we forget to do those things what matters to bring us pleasure. Yeah. Right. I always tell my clients, write down 10 things what brings you pleasure. And next day, put it in your calendar right now. Yeah. Like right now, I want you to put it in your calendar because otherwise it gets forgotten. Because what we learned when most of us, when we're growing up, pleasure needs to be deserved. Right? So I need to move mountains first. Yes.
I need to be like good enough, sexy enough. And then
I can have some pleasure in life, right?
And then I'm allowed a reward.
At the time when I'm like dead and I don't even need pleasure because I'm like inside of me, I'm just like depressed.
Food and things we buy ourselves and all of that stuff. Everything's about the reward system because that's what we're conditioned to think. And I think we do sex the same way.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Like I'm not thin enough to deserve sexual pleasure.
Yep.
Like
I even cannot have it because I'm not thin enough because only like skinny people can have orgasms. Like little. Like,
and I don't think men do this. Women, we mind fuck ourselves with all of this. I don't think you do this. And if you do, chime in. If you're on Facebook Live, chime in and let us know if you do anything like this. Or call in 1-800-508-5431 if you do anything like this. Sort of, and it's part of what keeps us from being orgasmic.
It part of keeps us because all of that it just makes us tight and control, and they've come again conversation ahead in our head keeps us away from being present, right? And it also the same way thinking that someone else have to give us an orgasm,
like owes you an orgasm,
owes me, right? And it's like, okay, I'm just gonna wait here, and then we say, well, they were not good enough, or they didn't know what to do with me. Well, have you told them what to do?
What do you think about, like, okay, so if I'm going in and I'm all responsible for my orgasm and everything like that, and I totally agree with that, but then, like, when you're with your partner and they're wanting to, like, to do it, they're wanting to make it happen, like, how do you, take the reins on that without going into, masculine energy and not, like, forcing it? Like, what do you suggest as a way to, like,
you deserve to have you deserve to have what you like to get, right? In a way, if I like my head massage, I deserve to have it, right? And someone will be giving me, I like everything. But if, for example, if I would hate, feet massage, and then I like head and everything, everything my partner does that gives me the feet, like, I'm saying, I get to tell him, right? Yeah. In a way that, I get to express my desires is the same way they get to express their desires, and I give it to them, right? Yeah. It's really, it's a dance.
Because you definitely want to then handle their sort of, and I don't want to generalize because all men don't have an ego issue, but you do want to, like, especially sexually, sort of be gentle with the male ego. So listen, like, you don't want to be like, okay, I got this. Watch me go.
Well, this is exactly how we need to do it. Well, listen, when we say you're responsible, it's not like you're responsible, meaning you're doing everything 100% and no one is needed for that, right?
It's just communication.
It's just really, you're responsible for your communication. Yeah. You're responsible for your body movement. You're responsible to take yourself to be present, right? It's really a lot of that really in communication piece. Like I am responsible to tell my partner what I like. Yeah. Because if he's not doing something that I like, I cannot say, well, he's not doing what I like,
and then complain about
that, because it's like, well, I haven't told him. Yeah. Right. Yeah. It's really it's kind of like, it's really a dance that it's not as much, it's not in our brain, it's more in our, like, souls and the energy. So it's like being in that dance and, like, telling partners, showing, and they trusting that they will do it. Yeah. And if not, they kind of, like, going with them with the flow, making the body move. But it's not like you have to tell everything, how to, be like this is what you do. Like, no, they get to get creative and, be in a dance with them. And, it's kind of a, connection within the souls. So it's really just being in that flow together and figuring things together and dancing in that and seeing and talking, doing the body conversation, verbal conversation, all inside of that. Yeah.
I love it. Wait, what did Lee say? He says, I feel your partner can help by not distracting her from the moment. What do you recommend to all of those partners to not to distract her from having an orgasm? Oh, I see what you're saying. Like, the male partner can support you by not, like, distracting you. He's saying, what do you recommend to do to not distract her? I guess, like, if she's maybe getting there.
I guess I don't know what kind of distraction, but I know what
we're talking about. Baseball league.
Yeah, what's going to happen in there?
Tell us.
Just that, right? What will support, right, to have those orgasms, especially when it comes to distractions. Trust is a big part to for women for orgasms, right? Trust is a huge part. For some of us less, for some of us more. Trust meaning trust of environment where I am, right? For a lot of people, again, going back to the shame conversations, the neighbors, so it's like knowing that I'm in a safe environment, right? Especially for some of us who have traumas, sexual traumas. And I'm not always talking about sexual abuse. We can have all kind of different traumas. We do. So like really having that safety, knowing that I'm safe. So providing from how a partner can support is actually providing that safety, environmentally, right? Then actually that trust in the partner, right? That connection piece. Yeah. That I trust you.
So being trustworthy is one way that a partner can
it's really providing that trust outside of that bedroom again, right? Because it's not magically happening. It happens in there, right? It's really knowing that you can lean on me. Yeah. Right? You can, because in sex, we are naked not only physically. Yeah. Right? Sometimes it's easy sometimes to take our clothes off, but like open our soul and be vulnerable and actually be like, this is me. Right? Intimacy. Yeah. That's when it sometimes gets tricky, right? So like actually showing your partner like you can lean on me.
Yeah.
Like I'm here for you.
Yeah.
And even sometimes saying in bed, like I'm here. Like I feel you.
I got you.
I got you. I see
that's so
you.
sexy. I feel it just in your
Right?
face.
Like looking into the partner's eyes and just saying like,
yeah,
like
that's
totally,
good stuff.
right?
Yeah.
So creating that, right? And asking your partner, what do you need to feel comfortable? Some of people need music. And it's also feel comfortable, but sometimes all of us have also different, things. Sometimes, maybe I need music. Maybe I need light on or off.
Yeah.
Maybe I need, pillows behind because it's another thing. Sometimes we forget about physical. We always think that everyone is like physically the same, equipped and physically the same, comfort.
Yeah.
No, it's not always.
Yeah.
Maybe someone needs that extra, pillow behind the back, support in the back, right? Or like put the ass up, like whatever is working. Or maybe I have my knees pain, right?
Yeah.
Because it happens actually a lot. People are going through pain in sex because they're ashamed to say that. And they're like, well, I don't get orgasm because I can feel pain in my knees. Well, you need to change the pose.
Yeah.
So you need to speak to your partner and say, hey, I'm actually feeling pain this way. Can we, how can we actually, manage it in a different way?
And you know what, I love that you mentioned that because I feel like, myself included, I always say just from talking to clients or talking to friends or whatever, as women, we are so willing to endure things. We a lot of times, and I think it's maybe more when we're younger, but we'll sort of put up with things and be okay with your head banging on the headboard or things like that, thinking that is part of being a giver sexually. Which is, ultimately it's not. Like if a guy actually cares about you, he doesn't want to be hurting you while you're having sex with him, right?
Yeah.
But I think of my own experiences and experiences of friends and things like that, where the talk was always about being uncomfortable in some kind of way, but not actually saying it, and then not being able to get there. Exactly. You're like about the fact that your head is headboard or something, that doesn't work.
Listen, sex as its own is already uncomfortable. It is smelly. It is liquidy. It has all the stuff that it's already there. No, there is no need to go through pain unless it's unless it's your thing and it's on purpose. That's the purpose of the purpose of the exercise, right? The purpose of that of the sexual practice, right? Then that's another conversation. But if it's not, and there is no need to that. The purpose of sex is have joy and pleasure, the spiritual connection, whatever the purpose is. But, and it can be, the pain can be purpose. But if it's not, then it's not. Yeah. And there's no need to go through that. And, again, when it comes to heterosexual sex, it's really because we had such a long conversation for so many years that sex is for men. Oh, I'm not supposed to enjoy. I'm just giving sex, right? It's he's taking, same comes with it when it comes to conversation about virginity and all that stuff. That it's oh, you give your virginity away, you're there's someone to take you sexually, and that gets stuck with us. So then we think, oh, it's not about my pleasure. I'm here to give pleasure, so I can, my head can go to the wall as long as he's, as long as it's he's on a way to come and it's for him.
Yeah. Well, and somehow my value lessens if I'm not this certain thing.
Exactly. If I'm gonna say that, it's then I'm not good in bed. Yeah. All those definitions.
Objectification.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Right? Wait, what did Lee say? He says, LOL, you talked about communication. Definitely not baseball. Oh, so he's saying the communication. I feel the emotional connection, being in the moment, being part of the moment, and trust is important. Sharing emotional vulnerability helps too.
Absolutely.
Yes. Thank you for that, Lee.
Absolutely.
But I guess he's talking about while you're trying to communicate, you don't want to distract.
And that's the risk that that's the risk that we get to take. There is no right way. And be ready that you're gonna mess it up. And it's okay.
Right? Definitely.
You're gonna mess it up.
The mistakes happen, the queefs and the embarrassment and the whatever.
Exactly.
That definitely.
Because that's what you see. That's what actually the belief that we should make it right keeps us away from that authentic sex. We talk about wild sex, right? Wild sex is you getting naked from all parts with your body, with being able, to sometimes maybe, I don't know, fart, sometimes, maybe fall down off the bed, that's what actually give the price.
Fall down off the bed and fart.
And then pee on yourself. It's but when you go risk to that, the price is higher. Then the price is higher than authentic sex, right? And so there's no right way to communicate that inside of when you have sex. until you're like really on the same page and you know your partner so well that you know when to say when you get quiet, right?
Absolutely.
And the thing is, when we're connected, we know what to do.
Yeah.
We know where to kiss. We know what body part to kiss, what to say, when to look, when to close our eyes, when to bend. Like, we know that intuitively. When we trust our intuition, we know what to do.
Which totally goes back to what you were saying earlier about being present in the moment, right? Like, if you're present, then the intuition totally
it's there.
clear
You
as a bell.
like hear it. You hear your inner voice. You know what to do, and then you just do it. And it's not if you guess wrong. Well, you guess wrong.
Yeah. Try something else.
Try something else.
Right.
And it's like it's a constant game. That's why sex is fun.
Yeah.
We forget about that. We forget that sex is actually can be fun.
Yeah.
Because we're so focused on, okay, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, then I'm gonna do this. Okay, like all this plan.
How do I look?
How do I look at it? And then it becomes it's actually fun. Play with it. Get messy. Like, have your boob one there that and they're like, just go for it.
Whipped cream.
Yeah.
Why not?
Oh yeah.
I love it. Like, I love, this is a fantastic conversation. So I see Walt joined. What did Sean say? As people get older, doesn't it change? Meaning like, doesn't it change in the sense of the funness? Wonder.
Yeah, Sean, if you can, I'm gonna go ahead and kind of go with it. But if you clarify what what are you looking for me to answer, just let me know if I'm not answering that. So what I see when it says as it get as it change. So our bodies change, right? Let's start there.
Yeah.
Like, we're not 16 anymore, like through all life.
Yeah.
Right? Our bodies change.
Like, continually.
Physical abilities, size of it. When it comes to female, the moisture, right? It's, it's not there as it was before. So all that stuff, changes. That's where we have lubricants, and that's where we have adjustments, and all that stuff. It also changes, with the relationship as you continue being in a relationship. We know that the first 6 months are one way, and then it gets like, well, I want it to be as it used to be. It's not always going to be as it used to be. Yeah. And if you used to have sex 5 times per day, it may not happen anymore.
Yeah, like it might slow down a little
right?
bit.
Because of the schedule, because your life is different than it was when you were 20, right? You have much more responsibilities. Maybe it's kids, maybe it's job, maybe, you have a business. So that will look differently, right? Values change. Maybe if you were, when we were younger, you were like, I would just have this spontaneous sex right now in a bathroom of, in Vegas, somewhere, in a strip club. Well, maybe now I don't want to have it,
Now it's like in the bed,
right?
After a shower.
After I had my
fully
tea.
relaxed after I've had my tea.
Right? And for some people don't. It's not like it's for everyone. But, like, that's, again, when it comes to that authentic your sexuality, want the chicken, what is it for you now?
Yeah.
What have changed? And be okay with that.
Wait, Sean says the zones change.
The zones change, yeah. Some, the zones change in a way that, when it comes to the zones, I'm an advocate that, orgasm can happen anywhere in the body, right? So it really doesn't need to be, I can massage, get an orgasm, I can go exercise, and, it really doesn't need to be, but in a way that the zones, when it comes to pleasure, it can change not only with age, change day to day. It can change partner to partner, right? If I had, sexual activity with one partner one way, it doesn't mean that with the next partner I'm going to enjoy the same things. Yeah. Right? Because it's a different person. The connection is different. The body is different. The
also,
energy
even
is
with
different.
the same partner. Like, if you're doing the same
with the
thing
same
over
partner.
and over again. Yeah.
A lot of things change. And for some people, it may not. Yeah. Someone may say, well, for me, things don't change. Great.
Yeah.
Right. That when it really comes to knowing your things, and when things change, actually be okay with that. Yeah. Right. Because we change. We all change. Our spiritual growth change. Our knowledge change. Everything changes. So it'd be, it would be weird if our sexuality wouldn't change. Right. The time that we spend with it. And it's also the energy. Listen, we all have, the energy vibration kind of changes in our lives. Right. So. Some people want less sex. Some people want more sex than we were. Yeah. That can go both ways. Yeah. I know people who are like, I didn't have so much sex when I was younger. I have much more sex. Yeah. Fantastic.
Right. I mean, I know for me, like, totally, it has ebbed and flowed. Like, being someone who, I think, I don't know, statistically speaking, but, people who've been married for decades or whatever, I'm sure they go through their ups and downs. Absolutely. But, for someone who never got married, it's like, there's been times in my life where it's like all I could think about was like what my sexual relationship was going to be and who I was going to have sex with. And it was like the focus. And then there's been times where it's like totally asexual, like just, I don't even like.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like we do change a lot.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I see Penny. Hi, Penny and Joseph joined us. Hi, you guys. I love you guys. So let's try to get one more of these in. Here's the thing.
We're like a second.
Right? We're on like number 3, but this is such a good juicy conversation. Like I wouldn't want to trade it for the world. So we're speeding through the hour. Like always, the hour goes by way too quickly. But I would like if you're available next Monday, we should continue this as a like part 2 if you're available to do it.
I don't think I'm here next Monday, but I definitely can work out some Mondays.
Yeah, it's the summer of sexploration. So even if it's a few weeks from now, we might have to like revisit all of this because I always tend to like have too much content and run out of time.
Always right. It's so much info always. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Absolutely.
So let's do this one. See if we can, how much we can get in. So the third one they pose as a question: what type of emotional connection do women need? So many women desire an emotional connection with their partner in order to release themselves and enjoy the peak of sexual pleasure. However, the phrase emotional connection can have varying meanings for different women. They say for some, it's just a simple respect and love for their partner, but for others, it can be associated with more complicated factors. Therefore, it is imperative that women make their bond stronger with their partner to attain ultimate bliss.
Okay.
Yeah, what do you think about that?
Yeah, so there are a few things to that, right? I definitely agree that, emotional connection needed, and I definitely agree that it's up to you what your definition of your emotional connection is, right? Yeah. Not because a lot of, we have so much information around that, how emotional connection should be, versus for me, it might be a completely different thing, right? So really knowing what is that emotional connection to me, what do I need? Is that trust? Is that for me being able to feel secure with, naked, getting my body naked and be secure with that person, and knowing that I'm not going to be shamed and, that I'm going to be accepted and loved the way I am.
Yeah.
Or it's that building that vulnerability piece. Or some people have connection through joy. They laugh together and then and listen, sometimes we just see someone and we know it.
Right?
I don't need to even for them to open up their mouth. Okay, I want you right now, right there, right? So that's what I said. There is few pieces to that because sometimes we put so much meaning for emotional connection, and it's like you need to have that, you need to find that one person to have a great sex. And I'm not diminishing. Listen, it absolutely can be. I'm not diminishing that. There is a, emotional connection. It's a huge, benefit when it comes to sexuality. But I just feel sometimes it's like with the conversation that we used to have, that you have to be married to have sex, right? So there's no sex in the marriage. So right now we became more liberal. It's like you can have sex before marriage. We give you permission.
Cultural permission.
You have sex before marriage, but you need to make sure you have emotional connection.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, no. You either slut or we condition people actually to believe that they need that connection, otherwise sex is not going to be good.
Yeah.
Which might be true
or that there's something wrong with it.
There's something wrong with
morally.
It. Which might be true for you, but maybe not.
Yeah.
Listen, I had so many times amazing sex just because because I know how to take my responsibility for my orgasm and because the partners knew what they're doing. Yeah. And I had zero connection with them. It was really, and it kind of contradicts, because I said so much that sex begins before bed and you want to create that connection before bed and that's what connection happen in sex. But it's also sometimes, I guess it's really when you have that connection with yourself. That connection can happen without connection can happen just you seeing person and meeting right now. Be sitting with you and looking into your eyes and be I feel you inside. Listen, right? It's hitting on me. So it's really sometimes yes, and that's where you get to discover what you need for that emotional connection. But sometimes don't get so into that would be stopping you from because it's not always and I'm not saying go be slut go be if you want I don't know what some rules in
no judgment
but what I'm not trying to say go just fuck around without no connection needed, but you get to figure out that for yourself, not what other people say, not even what I'm saying right now, but really going maybe I do need, maybe I don't need it, and what do I need?
Yeah.
And what is my emotional connection? What it means to me.
See, I definitely think like as I've gotten older, I finally had to, and this was just my situation, I had to admit to myself that I needed an emotional connection. Like when I was younger, I felt this sort of pressure, especially, I mean, in most of my 20s, I was in a relationship, but before I was in that relationship and even right after that relationship, there was like this pressure to be like very Sex and the City Samantha, like, like I can be disconnected and all of that stuff. I don't know why. I don't know if I put the pressure on myself or where that came from.
Yeah.
But it took maturing and getting older to be able to just admit that in order to feel comfortable enough to have an orgasm and to be into it that way, I do need to have an emotional connection. And what that means for me is, a whole litany of things that I just wasn't even paying attention to. Because I was like, oh no, you're career girl and you're sophisticated. So you can have sex and you're going to enjoy it no matter what. And, it just, it doesn't work that way.
Again, it's a key from that awareness. Right?
Yeah,
and then
knowing
what is it for you? What is it right now? Listen, today it may be, I may need that spiritual connection and really like just being hugged.
Yeah.
It's again, what sex means to you.
Yeah.
Right? For some, maybe do I need like maybe I just need someone to run down on me today and that's what I need today, right?
Yeah.
Maybe I just need that sexual massage and being kissed all over and that's all I need today, right? It's also being aware what right now. Maybe I do need to fuck someone who I just like saw on the street, but I like feel, that I,
Yeah.
And again, why? So what am I need that? Am I running from something and I'm running to something or from something and I'm trying to right now hide my loneliness and pain and that's what I'm trying, It's like
squash my emotions, so do this instead.
Exactly. It's like, again,
like
what are you...
Cake.
Like eating cake, like eating ice cream, right? For someone it's gym, for someone it's alcohol.
Yeah.
It's always because sex can be used as that numbness and run away, right? And like, let me prove that I'm good enough. I can, let me see. If I don't feel good enough, so let me prove myself. Okay, that guy, I can get him. Let me go and prove that to myself that I'm, that I got this, right?
Yeah.
All that, because we do use sex for that. So it's really, again, knowing what it's needed for you and what it means to you.
Totally. Let's see who's chiming in. Lee says, definitely part 2. He wants us to continue on with this conversation. That means you have to come back at some point, Julia. Michelle says, very true. Penny says, I need that emotional connection. And Brian joined us. Welcome, Brian. I think that's everything that you said is like so on point, and I love it, and it's beautiful. And we're so running out of time. I want to try one more. Try to get it. Okay. Oh, wait. What was this one? Do you know about your body? It might seem surprising, but it's true that most women are unable to reach orgasm because they're not familiar with their bodies. That's so true. This is one of the biggest obstacles in reaching the big O. Some women usually don't achieve orgasm by penetration, but through clitoral stimulation. So I'm cutting what they're saying to give you time, but we have like about 2 minutes so that we can fit everything in.
Yeah, okay. Definitely. I'll be short as well. Yes.
That's it. Yes. Know your body.
Know your body. Yes, definitely know your body in a way that know what makes you pleasure, gives you pleasure, right? And it may be on genitals, right? Meaning it may be vaginal, it may be G-spot, it might be clitoris, or it may be not. It may be squeezing your nipples hard. It may be being spanked. It may be being choked. It may be being your hair pulled, right? It may be all of the things in combination. It may, like
the hair pulling. I don't like that.
So that's that knowing that, right? Yeah. Definitely know your body, definitely know what you want, and be connected to that through the process, right? Because sometimes, especially when a woman goes through the cycle, menstrual cycle, even like it can be it can be different in there, so it also can affect the orgasm. Knowing all that, knowing when and what you like, and masturbation. I feel that the next one is like the self-stimulation. Masturbation is definitely key on knowing how and what you like, and playing with yourself. Not only like doing that 5 minutes masturbation, but actually like allowing yourself to have the whole experience with yourself. But that's another topic.
See, that's why we're going to need part 2, so that we can really delve into like, these details and stuff. And we still have, 4 more that we're going to go through. And Penny says spanking. Yes.
Yes, spanking.
You and me both. We're all about that. So this was amazing, Julia. Oh my gosh. I love this. Like, I wish we could go on and on for hours about it, because I know there's so much more, and so much more to like be gained and to learn and to grow from, right? Hopefully you guys out there are feeling more orgasmic, or more supported in causing orgasms. What did Michelle say? And looking at I think she means at your pussy.
Yes, absolutely.
Most women have never looked at their pussy. That is so true. Hi,
Absolutely.
Mikey Ronan just joined us. Happy birthday, honey. Yes, like just the looking at it, which I personally didn't start doing until I was probably well into my 20s, but it's very important.
Yep.
You know,
becoming friend with your
get
pussy.
out of that shame story.
Even saying that out loud, right? Like saying pussy and masturbation and actually like loving it.
Yeah.
Right? Looking in the mirror all the time. I always say to my clients, one of the, exercises I give, like look at your mirror and actually like explore yourself.
Yes.
Love yourself.
Ugh. Love yourself. That's the key to all of it, right? When we come down to it, that's it right there. So we're gonna have to wrap up this part of the conversation, but we're coming back. Lee says part 2. He's cheering for us. Penny says love you guys. So that means we definitely have to come back. And Julia, I feel like you're gonna be a semi-regular on the show. I love it. So thank you everybody who's joined us for the Summer of Sexploration. Now I just want to share with you. Wait, where is it? A couple things just before we go. We always have to do housekeeping. You know that I have my coaching program, 45-day intensive, The Secret Art of Seductive Singlehood, which is not a sex coaching program. It's really just about, getting that space of loving yourself and being able to have a singlehood that is happy and joyful and fulfilled and, provocative because of all of those things. And also, to help you discover and get clarity and, what it is you really need. I think a lot of times as women, we just sort of have an airy-fairy thing in our head where we think we know what we need, but clarity is key.
Clarity is the key.
Right? So that you have something to get aligned with. Yep. As always, I'll give you the 3 things to make your love and life sweeter. Now, for our talk today, these are the 3 that I came up with, and we totally touched on all of them.
Great.
The first one is release any shame you have around sex.
Absolutely.
So I say that so flippantly, like it's so easy to do that. But, sometimes we're blocked by shames that we don't even realize that we have, like our story about sex. I know the way that I grew up was very, Christian household, and sex was a taboo topic. All it really was about was don't do it. Don't bring home babies. Keep your legs closed. Wear your undergarments and don't be out past 10.
Hide, yeah.
Yeah, like hide, be a little bit shameful about it. Make sure you wash it like that.
Make sure you don't think about it.
Right? That's basically the sex ed that we got. Except for, what I looked for in what I read and things like that. Nancy Friday, for those of you who were teenagers in the 80s, Nancy Friday books. But the idea of like releasing that shame is a journey to go on.
Absolutely.
How do I let that conversation that doesn't work go? How do I stop like being hard on my body, right? My third one is learn to love your body, like we were just talking about. Learn to love yourself, move it, feed it healthy food. We always think like loving your body is this sort of like fake body positivity where it's like, ooh, I'm big and delicious.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I don't want to invalidate that. But loving your body, exactly. It comes from inside. Also, it's also feeding your body things that make it feel healthy, getting enough sleep, exercising and moving it, and just making sure it's as like optimal function.
Yep.
And number 3, I just threw in, stop having mercy sex, ladies. Take it from one who's been there. Like, just no more mercy sex. No more, feeling guilty because he spent a lot of money. Like, really choose partners that you really, truly, want to be with.
Yeah.
Good.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Now, this is your turn, Julia. Tell us, like, how we can find you. Tell us, we have just a little bit of time, but tell us how we can find you.
No worries.
Tell us about
I love that you said about sex shame because that's actually currently what I do most. I mean, that's, this month's work.
Yeah.
I do have a workbook that it's called 90 Days of Sexual Empowerment, which is a work journal. So it has all these magical questions about how to get that, the shame that we don't even know about out.
I love it.
With the conversation that our mothers or guardians taught us about, what are the things that we hide from, all that, right? And I do women's circles online on Skype.
All the website.
Yeah, all that information you can find at sexedwithjulia.com.
Yes.
Everything's in there.
Yes, and definitely go there. All you people out there in Armed Radio, they're about to leave us. Definitely go to Julia's site so you can do all of the shame release and good stuff and get your orgasms better. The people here on Facebook Live with us, they have a couple more minutes with us. We take a little more time and we can, after Armed Radio people leave. That's why Armed Radio people, you should be on Facebook Live too.